And I had two very close broad daylight UFO sightings here over Los Angeles. First time about 150 feet away, and the second time only about 70 feet away, with witnesses with me both times. And I actually brought some things to help.
We love a visual aid.
Just sort of give you some idea of
And
what's going on.
how old were you when this happened?
This is in my 20s, about 23 or so.
Did you believe in aliens, UFOs? What kind of person were you when you had this experience?
I've always been a creative. I've always been an artist. I've been drawing ever since I could pick up a pencil. I always heard people talk about, oh, I saw a UFO. I never really gave it much thought. I was very much enjoying things like science fiction and stuff like that, Star Trek and what have you. But no, I never knew or gave any thought to whether that was really real until I saw something. And then it's like, okay, the world is not what I thought. There is something going on here that we've been told is fake or not real, but it is. Because once you see something like that close physically, it changes everything.
Miami Alex Breakdown is supported by No CD.
Have you found yourself stuck replaying conversations over and over, trying to feel completely sure that your friend doesn't secretly hate you? Or have you spent hours researching a minor ache or pain even after a doctor said you're fine because your doubts and fears just wouldn't go away? You might be surprised to learn that experiences like that, where a distressing, unwanted thought gets stuck in your mind and you feel like you have to do something to try and solve it, stop it, or feel 100% sure about it, can be a sign of obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. OCD is nothing like the stereotypes that you like getting things organized. Real OCD is a serious condition that can focus on anything: your identity, your morals, your relationships, your sense of reality. But what makes it so debilitating is that it often fixates on exactly the things you care about the most. I've struggled with OCD myself, so I know how misunderstood it is and how hard it can be to even figure out what's going on, let alone get the right kind of help. That's why I'm telling you about No CD, the world's leading provider of specialty training to identify and effectively treat OCD, to help you manage it so that you can get your life back. In live face-to-face virtual sessions, they help you reclaim your time, confidence, and freedom. No CD is covered by insurance for over 138 million Americans and includes support between sessions, so you never have to face OCD alone. If any of this sounds like you or someone you love, No CD can help. Book a free 15-minute call to get started at learn.nocd.com/break.
That's learn.nocd.com/break. Miami Alex Breakdown is supported by Element.
Element. How we love Element. Element helps anyone stay hydrated without sugar, food dye, or other dodgy ingredients that are found in popular electrolyte and sports drinks. Electrolyte deficiency or imbalance, it can cause a lot of problems: headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, weakness. Well, Element is here to help. It's a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix and sparkling electrolyte drink born from the growing body of research revealing that optimal health outcomes, guess what? They occur at 2 to 3 times the sodium levels that the government recommends. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes, and it's formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration. It's perfectly suited for athletes, for people who are fasting, if you're following a keto diet, low carb, whole food, paleo. From health experts like Stanford neuroscientists and functional nutritionists to moms and exercise enthusiasts, Element's perfect for anyone looking to prioritize their everyday health. When you're sweating more, you are losing electrolytes. Element is there. It's a quick and easy way to alleviate all of the symptoms that can happen if you don't have enough electrolyte balance in your system. Hydration is foundational for energy, clarity, mood, and it shouldn't feel like a chore to check off or a privilege to earn. That's where 20-ounce sparkling comes in with 4 refreshing flavors: pineapple salt, lemonade salt, black cherry salt, that's the one that's my favorite, and orange salt, built for the workday, the weekend, and every sip in between. We always reach for one before we have a marathon day of work here at MBB. Salty, bright, and crisp, these tasty slim cans deliver 500 milligrams of sodium, 100 milligrams potassium, and 30 milligrams magnesium. Members of our community can get their free Element sample pack with any purchase when they order through our custom URL at drinkelement.com/Mayim. Try Element, see how you feel. Element's got a world-class customer service team. If you're not satisfied, they'll take care of you. Again, that's drinkelement.com/MAYIM, drinkelement.com/Mayim.
This is basically a CG recreation of what I saw.
I mean,
Having seen that,
hold on. It's not every day that someone is sitting in this chair saying, I saw up close with witnesses an unidentified
object.
anomalous phenomenon. Okay, so what happened? Like, walk us through it.
Me, a friend, my brother, my sister, and the brother of my friend were driving down the San Diego freeway back into the valley.
Okay.
There's that long grade that goes down into the valley. And at the intersection of the 405 and the 101, there is about a 12-story hotel that I think has changed hands a couple of times. I'm the one driving, so I'm looking ahead. It's just before dusk, and everyone's talking and not paying attention to anything. But I'm looking out, and I'm seeing these two bright lights hovering over the hotel. Now, I'm thinking at first, well, that's just one of those weird illusions where because of the way I'm moving and because of the way this plane is moving, it doesn't look like it's moving. It's just an optical illusion.
But it was hovering.
But it was just stock still. So I thought, okay, is it a helicopter hovering over the hotel? Why is it hovering over the hotel? The closer we got down to it, I started drawing everyone's attention to look at those lights because, again, I could see it wasn't really a helicopter. I didn't know what it was, but it wasn't moving. It was just hovering right over the hotel. As soon as we got close enough, we could see it was this black equilateral triangular craft, stock still in the air with these blue-white lights on each point and this dull red-orange light in the center. And we were all staring at it going, what the hell is that? And as soon as we passed it, I was going to go onto the 101 toward LA. So it was on my left above the hotel. And as soon as we passed it, it moved across to the other side of the freeway. So it was on my left again because we came around this way. So now it's over here. And I'm looking at this thing gliding across the valley in the most unusual way because it was like it was moving on a sheet of glass. There was no bobbling like an airplane. It was just like sliding, and it went over the mountains. So we're all like freaking out and going, oh my God, we just saw a UFO.
Or other people, like, did you notice anyone else noticing it?
Many, many years later, I heard a report that someone also saw it at the same time, described the same thing. But at that time, no. And that's kind of part of the weirdest thing of the second sighting we had because it was literally a week later.
And also, just to be clear,
Yeah.
There are many things in the sky that we may not know what they are. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's an alien craft,
No.
which is part of the government conversation about there could be things that are secrets, there could be things that are beyond our
However,
purview.
this thing made no noise.
Right.
It was completely silent and moved like nothing I've ever seen. And
Like
this
it was not obeying the laws of this universe.
And this is back in 1973.
That's
so
what I was gonna say.
very early. Yeah.
we were still
Back
living
then.
in huts. You know?
Well, I don't even know if the stealth bomber was on the drawing board at
I
that
don't think
point.
so, yeah.
So very unusual. So the second,
A week later,
I'm driving now with the same friend in the passenger seat, this woman named Tracy, and we are stopped at an intersection at Pico and Westwood. And suddenly this thing comes literally like 70 feet up in the air.
it wanted either Junior's Deli or the Burger Shack.
Crossing the street. And we were looking at each other like, again? Like, what are we being invaded? What's going on? So I decided to follow it. So I turned right and it went over this neighborhood, was kind of zigzagging. She was leaning out the window, shotgunning, telling me, it's over there, because there's a lot of trees. I was kind of losing it. She said, turn this way, turn that way. So we were literally zigzagging through the neighborhood, trying to follow this thing. We could intermittently see it over the trees. And finally, we kind of lost sight of it. And just on instinct at one point, I made a hard right on this street, and she just yelled, stop. And I slammed on the brakes. We looked up. This thing is hovering above the car about 60 feet. And then it just shot up in the blink of an eye into the clouds like that. And it was gone. And we got out and we looked around. There wasn't a soul on the street. Nobody walking their dog. Nobody watering their lawn. Nobody else saw this thing. It was the most surreal experience. So after that, I said, okay, I got to find out what this is all about. if there's any information on this at all. So I started doing a lot of research, reading books.
Also, there was no internet that we could be using to
Nothing.
access things.
No, this was one shelf in a bookstore that had every single metaphysical or bizarre book on it, all in one shelf. And I just kind of like went down the shelf. And that's when I started, not only reading about whatever there was on UFOs, but anything having to do with psychic functioning, anything to do with channeling, the Seth material. So I just kind of started getting familiar with a lot of that.
So it was that moment that precipitated your curiosity.
If you see one alien spaceship, I'd be like, that's enough. Two in a week. It's
and
powerful.
the same kind of craft, at least, if not the same craft. It was like the world is not what I was told.
Does it feel like you're going crazy? Because I would imagine upon seeing that it might feel like, am I in this reality?
Well, that's more the feeling. It wasn't that going crazy. It was like the world is not what I was told. Something different is happening. There's another reality here. That's what it felt like. It felt very disorienting, not crazy, but disorienting. So that's why I really had to find out what anything I could about this. 10 years after the sightings, and after I had done a lot of research, I was introduced to a channel who was doing events at the time. Now that I had sort of read the Seth material, I knew kind of what channeling was. But this person said, go and listen to this.